vision isn't always the greatest, so I had to take my gloves off. Even though this wood is kind of hard on, I got scratches all over my hands. It's hard, so it's very sharp on the edges. However, I got to be able to feel where the snipe is, because the snipe is like a little bit the end of whenever it comes out of the thickness planer where it cuts deeper, and the surface is messed up. So I got to watch for that. Okay, so there we go. 12 stringers, 12 treads. Are you focusing? Some of them are, that one's the back side. It's got a little bit of the original wood. Some of them are nicer than others. Some of them a lot of character because they've been sitting for quite a while. So my stringers being brand new, like that one there, is actually quite nice. The stringers being new are going to be white. So I don't know. Definitely there's a lot of strength in these boards. They're very heavy. So what I have is a bunch of ash veneer. There's some of it. I've cleaned it, wiped it down, and rough cut it to size. There's one piece here that had a bit of a crack in it. So there's veneering tape that you can buy. And it's just water-based veneering tape that comes off very easily afterwards. A big roll of it's really cheap. You just run it through some water and you stick it on, and then afterwards you take it off. And that just keeps the veneer together so that you can glue it up. And I've just noticed that I've left it and it's formed another crack. So I think I better work on that. Should have kept working on it right away. A little bit of water on there. Come on. One of the problems with working with veneer is as soon as you make it wet, it starts to curl up, because it's a really good way to show you how wood reacts to water. So when I put the glue on this, it'll completely curl around because the wood grain on the wet side is going to expand because it's wet. And as it expands, it's just going to curl the piece right around. I had this glue for quite a while. From a German company called Worth. I think they're called Worthcraft Canada here. And I've had it for way longer than the shelf life should actually permit me to have it. However, first of all, good glue, and I store it in a cool, dry place. Or in German you would say kühl und trocken lagern. Lagern means warehousing, which is where the name lager beer comes from. Okay, now I got a little bit too much glue on there, so one of the problems that you have when you're putting the glue on is the glue tends to squeeze out from the pores in the wood, and then it kind of glues it glues it to everything else, and then you end up with glue on the face of everything. So what I'm doing right now is trying to get rid of some of the excess glue on here. Okay. Now, the pieces that I cut, I actually had some up at the cabin. Good one-side fir. And so what you should do is, I just got to make sure that it is wet. Now, I don't know if you saw that or not, but this thing curls up a lot. So I have to work quickly to get this to go down on it without breaking it up completely. Wow, that wasn't easy. So I'm going to move these pieces over. What I have here is a Stair Tread, just to kind of line everything up. And I gotta squeeze this down this way, and maybe go this way a little bit. And you have to put it between two layers of something that's very flat. I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see better. Try to get the dust off of this one. Now the other thing is doing glue up. Ouch. Well, that was a bad sliver. Let's see if I'm bleeding or not. But you have to work fast because you can't let the glue set on you. It has to stay wet. So the most I can get here is going to be about 3 pieces. And then I clamp them. And then I just leave it for, I give this at least an hour, probably more like 2 hours. Just because it's veneer. I've done stairs before, but never like this type of stairs. I had a really, really good stair guy when I was a builder. Probably the best in Southern Ontario. And just learned a lot from him about what to do. There is supposed to be one side of these that's better than the other, because of the way the grain is cut.
Old school German, I guess you'd have to say. He probably started straight there, and then he brought it here with him. He built a lot of, all the bigger houses in the area that I built. He was the guy who did the stairs. Unfortunately, his son didn't take over from him. He got arthritis and I guess injuries from doing construction. Okay, now we can see I put the second piece on. Line it up here. Now, this is the first time I've used the wax paper. Put on the wax paper so that my 2 pieces don't stick together. Now I have to get my next piece. Put it on here just to keep that from falling over it into a straight.
It's lined up. It's lined up. It's lined up. Now I've done this veneering before, and I was warned Don't use too much glue because it'll bleed through. I mean, if it bleeds through, you got to forget about staining it because the glue doesn't stain properly. So I was very careful, and what happened was that the glue was so dry that this was in a couple of beds that I made with bird's eye maple, that the guess this one or not. Yeah, I must have. That the bird's eye maple it started kind of delaminating itself, and then I had to I still go back and have to repair them. They're beds that I have. Luckily it wasn't something that I sold to someone where, you know, they'd come back to me, or I'd have to, you know, I'd feel terrible if I sold something like that to someone that had to be repaired constantly. And it was just lack of glue. So when I started doing this, when I started doing the first of these, I started using a little bit too much glue, I think. So I've learned to use less, although the glue still is coming through slightly. Make sure we got no dirt in there. Okay. The last one here. Should I center it? Without moving the pieces around. I need another piece of wax paper if I can get it before this thing curls around completely on me. And put my top board on. And then have to make sure that it's covering, that my pieces are lined up so I get good glue squeeze out. Okay, that lined up. That's a little bit short on that side. Let's see how the side is. That's it. Get my hair in the glue. My hair in the glue. Now take the bottom piece towards me slightly. Sure, I'm in the middle. I actually got these are Bestie Clamps, really good clamps. Got them from Worthcraft Canada when they were they had their own woodworking store, and they had clamps, so they didn't catch on very well here for some reason in Canada. Largest wood fastening company in the world. You see their signs at figure skating and everything, but for some reason the woodworkers and contractors in North America just weren't very open to any new ideas or anything, so they kind of had a close-up shop, and they had all kinds of really good saw blades I got from them. Clamps glue. They still sell glue because it is, like, in the industry, it's very popular. Like I said, sorry, I gotta keep working really fast on this, otherwise I'm gonna mess everything up. Yeah, I don't have a veneer press, so this is my veneer press, and this is kind of how the stair guy Willie Kellner's guys did it too. They just took remember what I said, the pieces of wood have to be at, you know, switch grain direction like plywood. That's why this was cut with the grain up, because when I'm gluing that on, the grain goes that way. And you can also use MDF. It can work pretty good. Well, from what I hear anyways, if I used it will make the wood move, because once you take plywood and you add a piece of wood to one side, it will cause a kind of like a reaction in the wood that'll stress it one way or the other, and the wood will bend on you. Now here, it's not an issue for me because the back part is the back part of the tread that nobody's going to see. One more. Oh, wow. That's a lot of work. Like I said, if I had a veneer press. You get these hot presses where you use a different type of glue and you just clamp everything down. It just works so nicely. But that's too much money for me. So these are the glued on fronts, and I have to get rid of the excess glue on the outside and the trim them down. I know some guys cut them on a table saw. I know I've been kind of used to working veneer this way. Trimming the edges off. There's some of the excess this way, I think. Depends on how sharp your tools are. Chisels. And then afterwards, you just, when you're sanding the fronts, you just sand the edges. And since it's just a thin piece of veneer, it should sand right down and match the sides. And these will all be recut again for the to fit underneath the treads for the risers. Got some bubbles in here. This one's actually pretty bad. I don't know if possible for you to see that. I have no idea. Other than I had too much glue. I really try to be careful about not putting too much glue on. What can you do? I hope once I sand them out they're okay. And they are, like I said, only the risers. They're not. Yeah, I mean, if they're really bad, you'll see it. And it won't look very good. I just usually will go in straight. So you're gonna need glue squeeze out. This will actually also get rid of some of the high spots. I have no idea why that went up. It should have been. When I've done this before, I've had pieces of MDF that I'll go and put in between. And MDF is flatter than the plywood that I was using, so maybe that's why, you know, I'm getting these little bubbles in here. I just didn't have any non-MDF. Melamine. Yeah. Because the glue doesn't stick to the melamine, and the melamine's flat. But I just don't have any little pieces of it. So. If I flatten that out at all. Nope. It's right there. Problem is, if I take too much off, I'm going to go right through the grain. And I'll have to put filler in there. Good enough for now. You can see the excess is on there, that part there. I've done this with contact cement. I don't think I've done something with hide glue, but I'm not too sure if I've ever done any veneering with hide glue. You need a special veneer hammer. It's like a piece of, it's brass, where you can really, kind of looks like this. You can kind of lean on the front and it's rounded at the bottom, and you have to squeeze the glue out as you're going along. That's old school. Plus hide glue doesn't smell very good because it's hide glue. Made out of hides. Gonna bother with that little bit. And let's see how I am here. Okay, back in the shop again. It's been a few months. I think I was working on the risers on the treads last. Since then, the wood has dried out considerably. I'm down to, okay. So that's down to about 8%. There's I have a chart that'll kind of balance it out depending on the density of the wood. It's a density equalizing chart. Anyway, so I've straightened this one board out here. Now, it's too much for an 8-inch long bed joiner, my joiner there. So I got to do this by hand. So I've taken a straight edge and gone along one side. I'm starting to feel a bit of a bump there. Well, that's not good. Yeah, it's pretty straight. It's really hard to do it. So I straighten once. I go along one side, get it straight, or as straight as I can. Thickness planer will get some of it out. And then I take my laser level, which is that, put it on the board in about the middle, and then when I get one side straight, I put the laser level across. You can see the red line there. It shows that the left side of the board could go down very, very slightly. I haven't done a lot of work on this one yet. The other one, you can tell I did a lot of work. That side over there, that was really high. So you got to kind of shim it so that it's straight at the point where there's the least amount that you're going to have to take off. You can see that the left side has to come down. The laser level itself has a, it just hangs there, so it's level inside there, no matter what you do. So here I'm level. You can see that's pretty level across there. And as I go across, say to here, now I've got the left side I got to take more off of. Quite a bit more. And again there, quite a bit more. If I kind of raise that up, kind of see that I've got to take about 3/16 off of that side. So it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It took me a long time to get the other one done. Helps have a nice sharp hand plane. Like I said, the electric plane's a little kind of brutal. It kind of takes a lot off at once. So I'm going to keep working on this until I can get it through my thickness planer, which is this. I'm gonna switch, which is this guy here. I'm going to have to move him and open that door there and that window, because it's going to end up having to go in. So I got to clean up all this junk here. It's got to go through into there because these are very long. Like my shop's not really made for making stairs, but it's in the basement of my house. What can I do? Okay, I think once I get that plane down, I'll probably, then I got to get the edge. Not too sure how I'm going to do the edge either, because there's not enough room in the shop to put it through the table saw. I'll try doing it on the joiner, but like I said, the wood's very heavy, very long. Once I get it squared off and flattened into the right thickness, then I can lay out the stairs on there. So I can show that part next. Okay. Here. These are, okay, so I'm going to show you these after I got them dressed on my thickness planer over there. I had to rearrange everything in the shop. These are 13'6" long by 9.5 inches. They're dressed down to 1 5/8 inches right now, thickness. I have them both together to try and keep them straight. I have not straightened this edge here because I don't think I could do it on my joiner. I'm going to have to figure something out there. So I had the room and the other door opened with my little rolling things, one on each end. These boards weigh a ton. Like, it's just it's just unbelievable how much they weigh. I mean, they've lost some weight because of the work I've been doing, but I clamped them together after putting one side through the thickness planer. Stuff seems to be moving around. And then on the other side, I was going to use my saw. I have an old horsehair saw there. Not a very good blade. I was going to use a saw. The problem is sometimes the saw doesn't cut perfectly straight. So what I thought I'd do is take my old Alu electric plane. Yeah, I know I did a thing on hand planes, but it's got a board on it that I put that square. So I was able to square up. Now it's slightly off, and the measurements aren't perfect all the way along. I'm going to see if I can do a little bit better on, like I'll stand it up. I have to also find out which is going to be the bottom. So this part here with the bark in it, that's going to have to be inside bottom of the stairs because it goes right up to the end. Now a lot of it's going to be covered with the pine. However, it's still, put it inside bottom and you won't see it, the other side of the board is good. I think this is the top side of this one. Depends where the pith is. Yeah, you can see the pith there is more towards the bottom, so I'm avoiding the pith as much as possible. And then when I get down here, the pith is gone. I don't know if you can see it. I don't want to take the clamp off yet. So it's right down to the pith, but it's gone. So I'll have to turn these boards around best face out. I have to see how far down into this wood I cut. Like I have to notch out. I don't think my router's strong enough, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to use my skill saw, mark it, cut the where the treads go first. Then I have to put wedges in there, so mark the wedges, cut where the wedges are going to go, cut out where the risers are going to go. It's a long process. I guess in the end the stairs are going to, I guess if there was a big storm or something like that, the stairs are, because they're kind of thick, they're inch and 5/8, I think. You'd be able to hide underneath them if a tree fell on the cabin or something. It's strong enough, especially when it's nailed to the 2x4s inside. Okay. Yeah, until I lay out the treads and start cutting.